Hey guys, it's the docs from Pure Chiropractic. This is our third episode, Pure Perspective podcast. We're talking about acid reflux, colic, just babies having a hard time being able to get food and roll it back.
And you want to live, laugh, love. Really, that's
What is it?
To throwing up. Am I throwed up?
Am I throwed up?
But hey guys, welcome back to the Pure Perspective podcast. We are getting into episode 3 today. We are really gaining some traction all the way to 3. So today we want to talk about infant reflux, colic, just digestion for these babies. So we really like sharing the cases that we have in the office. So I will toss it over to the other two docs because we do have one that came to mind immediately that we have seen some really, really nice progress with in the office. So take it away.
Yeah. So we have she's 6 months old. She just turned 6 months old. So mom and dad were really excited to start using solid foods. And so we actually just had that conversation with them last week. But before she became 6 months old, back when she was a baby, they were referred to us by another practice member who said, hey, these docs are incredible. They talk about babies all day long. You should go see them. And so parents brought baby in. And she was very colicky, very unrelentless with her screams and cries. And mom and dad were just exhausted. And they said, we don't know what to do. And so we adjusted and she did really well. And so we saw some really positive changes just in those first couple of visits. And then mom and dad kind of had a setback a little bit. And so dad thought there's no way chiropractic is the answer. There's no way that's the only thing that's causing this problem. And so they paused on care for a second, went the route of looking at other providers. They did so many other tests and just doctor's appointments and visits, just trying to figure out what is wrong with our baby girl. There's no chance that this is only colic and this is just interference in the nervous system. There's no way it can be that simple. And inevitably, mom came back after probably 4 or 5 weeks and was like, we need you so badly. We stepped away, dad wanted to make sure everything was safe and everything was good with baby. And again, practic's not viewed as the first resource for this kind of stuff. And so to him, this was complete voodoo. This is taboo. And so we got her back on a pretty intense regimen as far as like care planning goes. And so we were seeing her 3 times a week and she has responded exponentially. We've certainly seen as she's had those milestones and those growth and development periods where we've seen a slight regression, but then we continue to stay the course and she has seen some really incredible improvements. And mom and dad are finally sleeping through the night or better through the night. She's having solid foods and not having spit up or having acid reflux. She's able to lay down more comfortably because before they couldn't even lay her down because she was just screaming so badly because that's coming right back up. She's not feeling good. And so we love getting to hang with her every week and see the improvements and changes in her nervous system.
It's if I would say there's one negative to healing for the 3 of us, it's that we don't get to see these babies every single week, 3 or 4 times a week, depending on their care plan, because they start to do better, darn it. And when they do, they don't have to rely on us as heavily, which is great. I'm saying that in jest, but like their nervous system's healing. Their need for support decreases. But you also mentioned we've seen some spots where that changes because care or healing, we always say, is never linear. The body loves to make changes, but with little ones, since they're going through development, they're going through a constant process of change, and their nervous system is making all of these new connections to their environment, to their parents. There's co-regulate. All of these things are happening. They need support sometimes to increase, and other times you can pull back and let the neurology run the show a little bit. So Dr. Anna, one of the questions that I had was just like you go in and you do a lot of the, we do the assessments on the babies and then you get to go in and talk to the parents. And the phrase that the 3 of us talk about all the time is that was another parent that is seemingly helpless. Like they don't know what to do. So how do we navigate that? How do we give hope to those parents? How does the science, the neurology tell them that we can help so that they can have confidence that they'll sleep again?
Yeah. So I think that day one we do the scans and we are talking a lot about like what baby's going through, what the family's going through because of that co-regulation state, because of just everything that they have to deal with, especially being either new parents or just had a baby. So there's a lot of stress and a lot of that tension. And it's just a cascade effect of all of these things. But typically on that day one, we see where we have those areas of interference. When we're adjusting, we feel and test different areas that might have that interference. But if your brain cannot talk to your digestion or your stomach or organs or anything like that, none of that can happen properly how it needs to. So if there is like interference that we're seeing on the scans and it's the communication isn't going through properly, then all of that other stuff just gets worse. And it's our job to kind of make sure that that is clearing out and that communication is happening so those things don't get worse. And
well, and we rely so heavily on the scans because 6-week-olds probably not going to tell us. Yeah. I don't think their first word is going to be ow. I really don't. So
my mid back bothers.
But the reality is the scan allows us to kind of chart a course for them. It's going to change. Their nervous system's going to constantly be adapting, like we said, but it allows us to at least have a direction for the ship. And that's where I think parents call us more and more as time goes on, because they've already played this game of hopelessness. They've already been told to just wait. That old phrase of, don't worry, they'll grow out of it. Well, to tell that to a parent who's not sleeping and their kid's miserably screaming all day, that just keep waiting and some arbitrary timeline will change and it'll all get better. And so, we absolutely lean heavily into the science dictates the course of care. The scans dictate the plans, but the plans are what allow us to expect those changes. It allows us to very much go, side by side with these parents. We'll get there. We'll get there. And it's not always easy, but like we said in the last episode, there's a lot of tears and a lot of hugs and a lot of support, but we will get where we need to go. The three of us aggressively pursue these changes for these families. So anything to add there?
One thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of our parents will come to us after, let's say, having 2, 3 kids, whatever that is, and now they've got a baby who's struggling with something outside of colic, outside of acid reflux, outside of anything that is what we're talking about now. And they'll say, "Oh yeah, my older children had colic, but they grew out of it." Right? We hear that all of the time. And if you listened in, I think on the first intro episode, or maybe even last week's episode, we were talking about how the body doesn't grow out of it. It just finds ways to try and adapt to it because it has no other option. And so it's going to get rid of that colic, but now it's going to lead into night terrors, or it's going to lead into speech delays, or it's going to lead into some milestone not being hit, or some other form of dysfunction that the parent is then going to see, right? Then we'll see maybe ear infections will spike, and we'll see that child needs tubes. And it's like, well, if we take a step back and go all the way to the beginning of that preconception phase, we can see exactly what that cascade of events happened to see how did this interference build up. Your child didn't grow out of colic. And so a lot of times the parents that talk about the days with my 5-year-old were really bad in the beginning, but they grew out of it and they're fine now. And we're like, are they? And so certainly they can have those. I'm sure that there are children that grow out of things and they don't have as much interference as some others do, but the body is going to figure out another way to show that dysfunction. It's not going to be the same way. It's not going to be in terms of colic, but it's still going to show that there's some area of interference that's not getting good communication. And if that means now your kiddo's constipated, okay, well, let's backpedal. Are they colicky when they were a baby, right? And so that's the first thing I always like to share with parents is that even though doctors now, like modern medicine says, oh, they'll grow out of it. Don't worry. Just stay the course. You've got 6 months. It'll be clear. Don't worry about it. And for Dr. Anna and I, we don't have kids to relate to. We don't have babies of our own to know, okay, how long did this process take, or what does this look like for most parents? Every kid's going to be different, but the same thing is true. It's not going to go away unless you adjust it, unless you clear the interference. It's not going to just magically stop being a roadblock for that child. It's just going to change the form in which it takes place in.
The names are different. The parents are different. The pattern is exactly the same across the board on those kids. So Dr. Anna, give us a little bit of, or give the listeners a little bit of just background on the neurology here. So nervous system's control of digestion. Obviously, if you've listened to any of our other episodes, you know that we are heavy in the nervous system and the neurology, but what is the control of digestion when it comes to neurology?
So, I mean, it's your brain's communication with the organs that your body was naturally made to do all of these natural processes. And babies should be able to latch to their mom. They should be able to intake breast milk and it not affect them. And we see a lot of parents have to shift to formula because breastfeeding didn't work or all of these other things didn't work, but it all goes back to their nervous system and all of that stress from everything that created the tension and the interference. But just the brain's ability to adapt to those changes is hindered because of all the stress and because of just everything. And that's not.
We lean heavily into the vagus nerve. That is something you will hear on many of these episodes. It is a parasympathetic driver of digestion, but also many other things throughout the body. But these little ones, again, just like we've talked about in the other episodes, it's hard to believe that you could have stress in a little child. We totally get that. but that stress is there. It's running their nervous system into sympathetic dominance. It's turning off their neurology's brake pedal, which is the parasympathetic side. And lo and behold, reflux happens and digestion struggles and constipation. And these problems set in because they cannot slow that system down. I mean, a good example would be like, if you were to be chased by an axe-wielding murderer, I don't think your body's going to focus a whole lot of its time and attention on digesting the lunch you had. It's not going to care about that. It is strictly survival. So when a baby can't digest food and the parents are so stumped, it's the same thing. Their body is running from something and it's running into that state.
Right? It doesn't make sense why that's happening. And so you said a lot of our doc lingo of like parasympathetic and sympathetic. That's your rest and recover is that parasympathetic. Your fight or flight is that sympathetic. When we have sympathetic putting pedal to the metal, going full speed ahead, that child is struggling. And we know that because we know that they see the symptoms of it. We see the result of it. And when you are in fight or flight, you're not, like you said, not digesting well. You're not sleeping well. You're not responding to life the way that it was intended to happen. And so when we get that child out of that fight or flight response, their body relaxes. Like if you haven't seen a pediatric adjustment, like an infant adjustment, you should absolutely come into the office and watch it. And for those of you that listened to the intro episode, that's the whole reason I'm here today. But watching that baby go from being tight and coiled up and so angry and frustrated, and you can just tell that they are unhappy to every level, for that adjustment to ease that tension and they just completely relax into the pillow. It's like the best feeling in the entire world. And parents get to watch that firsthand. They don't even recognize, oh, my child's all crinkled up in a ball, because babies are meant to have that cute scrunch and meant to have that little like fetal position hold when you rest them on your chest. Those things are still okay. But if that is constant and that baby doesn't even know how to relax their legs, we're looking at digestion being off. We're looking at that sympathetic tone being high and that parasympathetic tone being very low. We're looking at just the overall ability to adapt to life is going to be difficult. And then if we don't correct it, that child's likely going to suffer in not meeting milestones or not being on target that it needs to be. Like you said, digestive issues, constipation. We're going to see behavioral challenges because I'm sorry, if you can't poop, you're bringing in all these toxins. It's not going to feel very well. You're going to have adverse reactions. You're not going to respond the way that you should. And so it really does get down to what feels like to us, because we do it every day, that it is the bare bone basics. But to a parent that has never heard this information, they're going to say, what the heck do you mean? Like, why is it that easy? It doesn't seem like it should be that simple. Like we talked about with the baby in the beginning, you know, mom and dad were like, it can't be just this. And we're like, no, it is really just this.
Well, because the conversation has complicated life as a parent. As one, luckily, I feel like I'm kind of well versed in being able to navigate that a little bit. But but also like I still see the Instagram reels. I still see the things that are like, am I doing the right thing? Is this really the best choice for my kids? And luckily they are good examples of nervous systems that are working like they're supposed to. But I still see the slip ups in them. There will still be bouts of illness. There will still be bouts of digestive challenges. Like they're still interacting and their nervous system is still learning how to process through life too. So that's where we're there to support it. But going back to what you said, I will never I will retire the day it no longer is joyful for me to look up when you've got your hands on one of these kids, to look up and see the parents' faces like light up because they just saw their kid really truly relax for the first time ever. It will never retire because I'm no longer any good to the profession at that point. But so let's talk about just like, as we start adjusting, we like to kind of set that course for parents. We like to kind of tell them what to expect, but what do we tell them is an expectation they should have for their child as they start getting adjusted, especially around the category of reflux and digestive issues?
A lot of times you've got babies that will adjust. Like even just last week, we have I don't know, she might have been 8 days old at the time, and her older sister's already under care, doing exceptionally well. Baby came into the world with a very fast delivery, less than 2 hours from the time mom was in labor to the time that baby was born. And a lot of that can cause some stress on mom and baby, even though it was pretty quick. It wasn't like she had a 36-hour labor like some of our other moms.
That wasn't like, there was nothing else stressful about the delivery. Also, it was just really fast. And just keep in mind that can also create a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Which sounds crazy, right? Because the goal is seemingly like, as quick as you can go. But sometimes that creates additional challenges that parents are completely unaware of.
Yeah. And something that we learned back when we started the PX docs journey was talking about mom's role in kind of jumpstarting baby's nervous system. And so the way that the contractions are happening are actually great for baby to push out any fluid, to be able to jumpstart that thoracic system. So everything in the mid back that's going to control heart and lungs and stomach and upper digestion tract. And so the exact same areas that we see reflux, I spoke to this family and they were only bringing in their oldest daughter. And I said, congratulations on the baby. That's so exciting. And dad is explaining all this stuff about how quickly the delivery went. And I said, okay. I said, not saying that this is happening right now, but be on the lookout because of this fast delivery. We may see reflux or colic. What do you know? 2 days later, they're signing up their kid. They're getting that baby evaluated. Baby comes in. We're still, it's been maybe 5 adjustments now. And so we're still navigating that challenge. But mom went ahead and switched formula because she was worried baby wasn't getting enough nutrients. And that created difficulties for baby. And so they went back to breastfeeding. And actually, I think they had to go back to formula because mom was struggling to produce. And so there's a cascade of different things that are creating some stressors and struggles for that baby. But as soon as we adjusted her, she sat up on one of our, I think it was Dr. Anna adjusted her first, a big burp, the next time a big burp. And so it's like they can finally release that gas that's pent up in their bellies that is making them so sad. Yep. And so we're certainly still seeing that we are navigating this. We're having to work harder. Like her sister responded exceptionally well within that first adjustment. And she is still responding very well, but maybe not as quick as mom and dad anticipated. And so
which is normal.
Exactly.
I don't think we're ever going as fast as parents want us to go with their care, but we don't dictate the rate. We just influence the healing.
Yes, exactly. And so we've just had to keep reminding them to stick the course and that we are seeing changes. And every time she sits up, we get a burp. So we know that baby is getting better communication and can get that air out and get that trapped gas out. And then we can, certainly start to see some more changes where she relaxes right into the table.
The number of times where we've had parents who their child starts getting adjusted and then all of a sudden they start like, they'll bring just the baby in and then they bring in the baby with the diaper bag because they know they're not leaving the office before this kid ruins its outfit.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, which is just like, we jokingly are like, we got wipes and we got diapers because your child is likely going to
have a blowout.
Have a blowout of that diaper before they leave. And so we have parents that are kind of prepared for that now. So anything else to add to colic and reflux and digestion?
I just wanted to say, like, babies should be little, like they should melt. They should not be like arching their back, lifting their head. That's a stressed out baby that is just going to turn into other things. So just educating you on how we can help in that process and hopefully make things better in the entire family's life.
And if you're local, I mean, call us. We'd be happy to do those scans. Sometimes you just have that back of your mind as a parent, that parent gut is just wondering like, I wonder what my child's scans would look like. We do that all the time. It's something that we are passionate about is giving you the education. We're not going to make you do anything. It's your choice, but your kids deserve the opportunity and you deserve the chance to know what's going on that you might not even be aware of yet. As we wrap this one up and we go into the next episode, I am very excited for the next one, because I have seen this a lot in my career. And we are talking about ear infections, sinus issues, and most importantly, the one that especially lately we've seen a ton of is kids who are constantly sick. We're going to talk about how that happens, why it happens, and what you can do to have that not be your kid in the school anymore. So we will see you guys on the next one. Everybody have a great rest of the day.
Bye.